So Gemini moon is kind of, similar to my moon sign a little bit. This person can think a lot more when they get emotional. Somebody might have triggered them, said something. Certain person they care about, certain person they love, and then they start to think about it, and they think like kind of hard about it. They're like, damn, they said that I was this and that. Maybe, you know, I ain't this. Maybe I ain't that. Maybe I need to, do this more. Maybe I need to, talk to these people more. Maybe I need to get away from this person and like not be friends with them anymore. They start to have those type of thoughts. Maybe I am, not, the smartest person. Maybe I'm not, any kind of intelligent like this person may say. Maybe I am like that. And that's when they keep shit to themselves. Sometimes they like get loud about shit and they like, well, you'll start bringing up facts, about somebody else. Well, you didn't do this or this right, you know, and you're talking about something that they could have done in real time. Like you didn't talk to those, like you're getting on me, but you didn't go out and talk to those people over there. I'm doing that because you are not heeding calls to what I'm trying to tell you. And this is the person who has a Gemini moon. I'm trying to give you some information that you need or whatever, but you're gonna fuck around and, run around, that way, or not listen to what I have to say, or not care about my words, and I actually have some information that you need to hear, you know. And sometimes it's not that though, and you just, talking, to talk, saying shit, be the smart ass you are, because that's a Gemini moon. You just want to always be the one that's right and be like, yeah, I am smarter than you. You actually, ain't smart at all. I don't like stupid people like you. You'll say shit like that to people. I can, fuck your whole day up by talking to these people about how you did this and that. I can, go to these people and have your life messed up. I can do this and that. I can go get your other friends and tell them that you're a piece of shit and other things, and they'll listen to me because I'm smart. Yeah, I'll do shit like that. They're like that. When they get emotional in a negative way, they're like that. And you've done these people wrong. You weren't giving them enough attention, enough, real conversation. Okay, fine. And they say it just like that. Okay, fine. Yeah, I will run around and talk to these people, and I'll, maybe not ever see you again because I like talking to them more, or they can get really fucked up with it and they can be like, well, I'll tell them that you have, these issues even though you don't have them, but like the way I say it is gonna like make it sound, and they will listen to me too because I am a, cool talker when I'm more emotional. And then you'll go to that person and be like, this guy over here is, doing this, he's fucking around like this, he's doing that, I'm telling him he has to do this and that, or he or she has to do this and that, but they ain't doing it. And then other people hear that and they're like, oh fuck, you have, they actually did that to you, they actually like, didn't listen to you, or they didn't, treat you right, or they, because this person might be spreading lies as they, are more emotional. They might not have liked what another person said, you know, or said about them. You this person's intelligent, so like when their intelligence comes into question, like you might have been like they might have been somebody might have been like, well, you ain't the smartest person in the room, you ain't the smartest person I know, or you ain't, as intelligent as I am, but like you actually are, you know. But you then, when you get emotional, you show that you are, and you're like, okay, well, I will do this. You start to, get other people on your side, and, in the media area, you're like, hey, don't you know that I'm right because I've done this and this? I've told you guys how to do this and that. So this guy is wrong, or this person is wrong, and you're trying to always be right and smart about shit, or just talk your point to like a point where you actually might get other people angry, or not that. Maybe you get isolated and you don't like that, but then you also are smart enough to, like I said, find other people, and you'll still be emotional about, damn, those people were supposed to be my fucking friends, but and you'll tell this shit to other people too, but they didn't fucking want to hear me, and they didn't want to fucking have, conversations, about real things going on, or what I had to say about whatever the fuck. They were trying to talk over me or whatever the fuck, they thought I wasn't important when I actually am, or I feel like I am, depending on the moon sign sometimes, or the sun sign, my bad. But Gemini moon, they hear things a lot too. They hear what's going on around town. Like, that's their superpower. They hear what's going on around town, and they know what kind of, and that's how their intuition works. They kind of know what people are thinking about. And it's like they can hear what other people are saying before. They just know what's going around town. They do. They actually are cooling on the corner like that. With their like positive side of their moon sign, but it's usually negative because like I said, I've already explained all that shit. Or they will then go and talk to other people and get away from that shit, but always still being like, damn, those people were supposed to have my back, but now I have to do this. I have to get other people on my side and attack those people. I have to now I'm alone, and I'm like starting to think these negative thoughts about myself because other people didn't want to be around me because I would bring up too much facts about what's going on in town, and they didn't want to hear about what was going on with other people. But I'm the person who does that. I like to know about what the fuck's going on there, and you do. Keep cooling on the corner, man. You girl, guy, you ain't fucking stupid, but try to not talk your points so much sometimes. You'll keep your friends around you. But keep being cool on the corner.